Welcome back to our weekly talking point, where we look at everything you need to know about being a successful, wise, and wealthy property investor. So we've mentioned it several times on our channel in various videos, but the most important aspect of any portfolio is to make sure that the foundations are correct and that you're not only protecting your wealth, but also yourself and your family. Now, death costs are generally the biggest problem when it comes to generational flow of wealth, which is why the team at Wealth Masters places a great deal of focus on helping individuals and business to set up the correct structures in the beginning in the correct way to protect yourself from hostile creditors. So now, one of the most critical roles in a trust, of course, is the trustee. And the understanding and execution of their duties may seem like a daunting task if you aren't aware of it. But through our partnership with Treasury Trust Services, we can help you manage this in a proficient manner. So to talk a little bit more on the duties of a trustee, we have Annemarie Schutte, the Managing Director of Treasury Trust Services, with us. So Annemarie, thank you so much for your time and thank you for joining us.
Hi, Damien. Thanks for having me.
Now, diving right in, what is the first and main rule that a client needs to remember when they start a trust?
Damien, it's very important for the clients to remember, as soon as they transfer assets to a trust, they need to give up some control of those assets. In other words, all the trustees will now jointly manage those assets for the benefit of all the beneficiaries. So that will also follow into one of the following questions, but perhaps I can just touch on that. Giving up some control will mean that the trustees must also make joint decisions.
Now, Annemarie, just in terms of a trust, I think a lot of people have heard the term and, they may have some understanding, but what is the process of establishing a trust like? I mean, there seems to be a major misconception that it's a very tedious and involved process that'll take weeks and if not months.
So, Damien, a trust is basically a contract that the trustees and the founder will sign, and we register that with the master. So from our side, we will draft all the trust documentation upon receipt of the instructions from the client. The clients will have to sign those documents originally. We submit those to the master, and then we wait for registration. The master will then issue a letter of authority naming the trustees on that specific trust. We manage that entire process, so we basically take the sting out of that admin for the client.
Now, every trust must have one or more trustees as well as an independent trustee. So, Annemarie, can you just give us a little bit more information about the role of the independent trustee and how much power they actually have over the trust?
Sure, Damien. So from 2017, the master requires that an independent trustee must be appointed on a trust when it's registered. That's their way of forcing the clients to have some sort of independent management in their trusts. This is specifically important for the trusts where the beneficiaries and the trustees are related. So the master refers to that type of trust as a family business trust. So they will not register a trust like that without a very good reason, or otherwise without the appointment of an independent trustee. The independent trustee and the co-trustees, like our clients, will have equal voting rights or equal say in the management of the assets. So we will only, let's say, decline a decision if there is a legal reason for that. But other than that, we are also just making the decision jointly with the clients in the best interest of the beneficiaries.
And obviously each trust has to be registered with SARS for it to be deemed legal. So how do the financial affairs of a trust work? And, will the clients be opening a trust with Treasury Trust Services? Will they have to go and find an accountant who now needs to know how trust accounting works? Or what is that process with you guys?
Damien, we do have trust accountants in our group. They are called Destinata Accounting. So as soon as the client's trusts are registered, that will be the next stop with the client. We can also assist the clients with a bank account, whereafter Destinata Accounting will draw up all the necessary paperwork to register the trust for income tax with SARS. So they basically attend to all of that, and the client will just have to forward them a couple of documents, but they don't need to go to a branch in order to register the trust.
Fantastic. I think that's good news for a lot of people. Now, we've spoken a lot about the setting up and the initial part of a trust. Now, in terms of the ongoing maintenance of a trust, what is required by law once the trust has been registered and established by the Master's Office?
Right, so Damien, first step will be to open a bank account. As I just mentioned, we are also now able to open bank accounts for the clients, which is a huge benefit. So if the clients want more information, they can just contact us. And then secondly, as I also mentioned, the client must register the trust, or at least the accounting officer must register the trust for income tax. So that's the first important steps. After that, we will guide the client specifically on what they need to do with the trust, and then how they need to execute that. We will then also have general meetings with the clients. The accounting officer will draw up annual financial statements and also do tax returns. As I've also mentioned earlier on, it's very important. One of the trustees cannot act on behalf of the trust without the authority of the other trustees. So for every single transaction, we need a resolution. So what we will do when the trust is registered, we will also get a blanket resolution in place that will basically cover the day-to-day expenses of running the trust. That might include the debit orders for a property trust to cover all the property expenses, and that can also include minor maintenance. So we need to cap that to a maximum amount to still ensure proper management and to ensure that trustees continuously discuss maintenance or whatever else needs to happen on the trust property. So that's very important, that the trustees must have regular meetings, keep in touch, keep a record of all the transactions, signed resolution, minutes of meetings, and then of the financials as well.
Now, Annemarie, earlier you spoke about the independent trustee and the trustees having sort of equal voting right. Is it possible to change or get rid of a trustee on a trust, and what does that process entail?
Yes, Damien, it's possible. It's actually quite easy. So when a trustee is asked to resign, that trustee will have to sign a letter of resignation. And then the trustees can decide if the resigning trustee or the newly appointed trustee should submit all those documents to the master's office. And then the master will issue an updated letter of authority, and basically just place the resignation and the appointment on record.
Fantastic. Annemarie, thank you so much once again for your time. It's always great to delve a little bit deeper in these topics. So we really do appreciate that. And if you watching at home want to find out a little bit more about how we use specialized trusts in our wealth creation methods, then take a few hours of your weekend and register for our free online training. So you can view this training in both English and Afrikaans. It's available to stream from 9 a.m. on Saturday morning until midnight on Tuesday. So it'll be the best time spent, and it'll begin your exciting journey on becoming a successful investor. Annemarie, once again, thank you, and we'll see you all again next week. Bye-bye.